Tara stood at the center of the crowded town hall, the weight of the entire town's gaze upon her. The air was thick with judgment, whispers darting from one person to another, each more scandalized than the last. The old wooden floors creaked as she shifted nervously, trying to ignore the way her hands trembled at her sides. She had been called here today to answer for something she didn't even understand, something that wasn't true. Yet here she was, about to face a room full of people who had already made up their minds. The mayor stood before her, a stern man who never seemed to smile. His voice echoed in the room as he addressed the crowd, his words sharp and biting. "It has come to our attention that Tara," he glanced down at his notes before continuing, "has been involved in an affair with a married man. This is an act of dishonor, and as a community, we cannot stand by and allow such things to go unchallenged." Hello, please share, like, comment on this story and subscribe to our YouTube channel to enable us grow. And thanks for showing us your support for this channel. Also hit the notification bell to get notified when a new video drops. God bless you. Tara felt a knot tighten in her stomach. The words felt like a physical blow. She had never been involved with anyone in that way. The thought of it was absurd. But how could she prove it? How could she make these people believe her when they had already decided? "I swear I am a virgin," Tara exclaimed, her voice cracking, but the room only responded with silence. The doubt in the eyes of the townsfolk was palpable. They were looking at her as though she were a liar, a deceiver. Her heart raced, her cheeks flushed with the sting of humiliation. Tara knew she had to stay strong, but it was so difficult to fight against the collective force of the town's disapproval. She glanced at the man who had accused her, Evan, the local banker, sitting with his wife, his eyes full of guilt yet relief. Was he the one behind this falsehood? As Tara took in the hostile gazes surrounding her, she noticed her mother sitting in the back, her face pale and drawn. Tara's family had always been the quiet type, never involved in town politics, never one to stir the pot. But now, here she was, alone in her defense. Her throat tightened as she realized that no matter what she said, it would never be enough. The suspicion had already taken root, and her word meant nothing. She had never felt more isolated, more helpless in her entire life. Tara retreated to her childhood home after the devastating meeting, hoping the familiarity of the old house would offer some comfort. The familiar creak of the wooden floorboards beneath her feet was both soothing and haunting at the same time. She hadn't returned here in months, and the house, though filled with memories, seemed cold now, as if it too was judging her. She wandered through the rooms, the scent of old wood and dust filling her lungs. Her family had lived here for generations, and the walls seemed to echo with their history. Tara's fingers brushed against a faded photograph on the mantel, one from her high school days. There she was, smiling with her best friend Sarah, her partner in crime. They had been inseparable back then, the two of them against the world. But that was before everything changed, before Sarah got involved in a scandal that tore their friendship apart. Tara sat down on the couch, staring out of the window into the yard where she had played as a child. Her mind began to race, trying to piece together the events that had led to this moment. The false accusation, the whispers in the town, the way she was now a pariah. But what if there was more to this story? What if the affair wasn't the only thing people were trying to hide? She pulled open an old chest filled with family memorabilia and started sifting through it, hoping to find something that would make sense of the mess her life had become. That's when she found the letter. It was tucked away in an envelope, faded but still legible. Her hands shook as she unfolded it. It was from her late aunt, a woman who had always been a mystery in the family. The letter spoke of a secret, one that her aunt had promised to reveal at the right time. But Tara never got the chance to ask about it. The letter hinted at something much bigger, something that could explain the animosity the town had always shown her family. Was this the key to understanding the truth behind the accusation? Tara held the letter close, her heart pounding in her chest. This was it. This was the break she had been waiting for. But what would it reveal? And more importantly, who would believe her now? Tara sat at a small table in the local cafe, nervously stirring her coffee. She had agreed to meet Amy, her estranged cousin, after hearing rumors that Amy might have some information regarding the affair accusations. Tara hadn't seen Amy in years. There had always been an awkward distance between them. Yet today, desperation made her willing to hear anything. When Amy arrived, she looked as confident as ever, wearing a sleek black dress and a calm demeanor that contrasted sharply with Tara's own anxiousness. Tara's heart skipped a beat. Was this meeting truly a chance to uncover the truth? Or was Amy just another person trying to manipulate her? "Nice to see you, Tara," Amy said, taking a seat across from her. "I know this has been hard. But you should know I've been investigating this whole thing. There's more going on than you realize." Tara's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" Amy leaned forward, lowering her voice. "I'm not saying much now, but trust me, you need to dig deeper. There are people who want you to stay quiet." Tara's mind raced. Could Amy be trusted? Or was this another twist in her tangled life? Tara walked into the local bar, her heart pounding. Evan, the man she had been accused of having an affair with, was sitting at the bar, casually chatting with friends. The accusations had burned through the town like wildfire, and now Tara needed answers. She had to know why he'd lied. Taking a deep breath, Tara approached him. "Evan," she said firmly, "we need to talk." Evan turned to face her, his expression unreadable. "Tara, I don't know what you want me to say. It was a mistake. I was drunk and—" "You're lying," Tara interrupted, her voice shaking with anger. "There was no affair, was there? You made it up." Evan looked away, avoiding her gaze. "Look, I didn't want this. But I had to do something." Tara stared at him, disbelief coursing through her. This was bigger than she'd realized. But what had he been hiding? Amy led Tara down a narrow dirt road to an abandoned house on the outskirts of town. The place looked long forgotten, its windows boarded up and covered in vines. Tara's heart raced as she followed her cousin to the front door, which creaked ominously as Amy pushed it open. Inside, dust and cobwebs covered the floors, and the air was thick with the smell of neglect. "What is this place?" Tara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Amy's eyes narrowed as she walked deeper into the house, her steps slow and deliberate. "This is where it all connects. The affair you're being accused of. It's part of something bigger. There's evidence here, something that could change everything." Tara's pulse quickened. She had to know. Amy pulled open a drawer from a broken desk and slid out a bundle of old letters and photographs, all detailing a long-forgotten affair involving powerful people in the town. As Tara sifted through the papers, she realized that everything she knew about the situation had been a lie. Tara stood frozen in the middle of the abandoned house, her hands trembling as she processed the shocking revelation. The letters in her hand painted a grim picture. The affair she had been accused of was part of a larger conspiracy, one that involved her very own cousin Amy. Tara's stomach churned as she reread the letters that hinted at Amy's manipulation. "I never wanted you to find this, Tara," Amy said, her voice cold and distant. "But now that you have, I suppose I have no choice but to tell you everything." Tara's heart dropped. "What do you mean? Why would you frame me? Why would you do this?" Amy's eyes flashed with a mix of guilt and anger. "I needed someone to take the fall. Your family was always in the way of mine getting what we deserved. You were the perfect scapegoat." Tara's mind raced. How could she have been so blind? The betrayal cut deeper than anything she had ever felt before. She had to confront Amy, expose her lies, and make sure the truth came to light. Tara barely slept that night. The shock of Amy's betrayal left her mind in a whirlwind, unable to process everything at once. But she knew what she had to do. The truth needed to be exposed, and she couldn't wait any longer. The town hall meeting had been only the beginning. It was time to take action. The next day, Tara walked into the local courthouse with Amy's letters clutched tightly in her hands. Her lawyer, a stern woman named Julia, was already waiting for her. Julia had been skeptical at first, but now, with tangible proof of Amy's treachery, Tara felt a surge of confidence. "I've gathered all the evidence we need," Tara said, her voice firm. "Amy is behind it all. She framed me for something I didn't do." Julia raised an eyebrow but took the letters from Tara's hands, quickly scanning them. "This is big, Tara. We're going to turn this around. I'll arrange a hearing." Tara nodded. It felt like a heavy burden was finally lifting off her shoulders. The truth would be revealed, and she would no longer be the victim of lies. The town would see who Amy really was. Tara arrived at the bustling town square, where the community had gathered for the annual market day. She felt the weight of the moment in her chest. Today, everything would change. People were already whispering behind their hands, casting glances her way. But Tara knew it was time to confront Amy and expose the truth once and for all. Amy stood near the town's central fountain, a smug look on her face. She hadn't yet realized the full extent of Tara's resolve. Tara walked up to her, her steps steady. "You're a coward, Amy," Tara said, her voice ringing clear across the square. "You've been hiding behind lies, manipulating everyone, including me. It's time to face the consequences." Amy's eyes widened in shock. She glanced nervously around as the townspeople began to gather, sensing something was about to unfold. Tara held out the stack of letters for all to see. "The truth is here. You framed me for something I never did," Tara continued, her voice unwavering. "You used me as a pawn in your game." As the crowd began to murmur, Amy's confidence crumbled. The truth had come to light. After the confrontation in the town square, things began to shift. The townspeople, who had once viewed Tara with disdain, now approached her with hesitant sympathy. Many had realized their mistake, having seen Amy's manipulative actions laid bare for everyone to witness. Tara stood on her front porch, looking out over the familiar landscape of her childhood home. She had spent so many years trying to fit into this small town, but now she realized she had been living under the shadow of lies and deceit. Yet, through all the pain, Tara had found her strength. Her mother stepped out from the house, placing a hand on Tara's shoulder. "You've done the right thing, honey. I'm proud of you." Tara smiled faintly, though the weight of the past still lingered. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. In time, the town began to heal, and so did Tara. The accusations had torn her down, but the truth had rebuilt her, stronger than before. Weeks had passed since the dramatic showdown, and life in the town had started to return to normal. The local council had taken swift action against Amy, and her manipulation had been exposed for what it truly was. Tara had regained her place in the community, but she had also learned valuable lessons about the power of truth and resilience. In a small gathering at her home, Tara stood before the people who had once judged her. She had invited them to hear her story, not as an accusation but as a lesson. "I've been through a lot," she began, her voice steady, "and I've learned that truth is the only thing that can never be taken from you. No matter how much you're hurt, no matter how much people doubt you, you must always stay true to yourself." The room was quiet, but Tara could see that her words had struck a chord. People were listening, truly listening for the first time. Her ordeal had taught the town the importance of empathy, the need to listen before passing judgment. And for Tara, it was a step toward healing and forgiveness, both for herself and for those who had wronged her. Tara stood at the bakery counter, rolling dough between her hands. The familiar scent of freshly baked bread filled the air, bringing with it a sense of peace. After the chaos of the past few weeks, she had decided to follow her passion for baking. It was something that had always comforted her, and now it felt like the right time to make a fresh start. The first few customers came in, greeted by her warm smile and the freshly baked loaves of sourdough. Tara's heart felt lighter than it had in a long time. She had found something she loved, something that brought her joy and purpose. As the day passed, Tara realized that she wasn't just building a business. She was rebuilding her life. She was finally in control of her own happiness, no longer weighed down by the lies of the past. A few weeks later, Tara sat across from Julia, her lawyer, at a local cafe. The bond they had formed during the court case had deepened, and Tara had come to trust Julia like a friend. Julia had not only helped her expose the truth but had also shown her the value of standing firm, no matter the obstacles. "You've come a long way," Julia said, sipping her coffee. "I'm proud of you, Tara. You didn't back down." Tara smiled, feeling the weight of the journey behind her. "I don't think I could have without you. You helped me see that I didn't need to be afraid anymore." Julia nodded. "You've shown everyone that the truth will always find its way to the surface." Tara knew that this wasn't just a victory for her. It was a victory for truth and for everyone who had ever been silenced by lies. One quiet evening, Tara visited Sarah's grave. The two had been inseparable once, but their friendship had ended abruptly after Sarah's involvement in the town's last big scandal. Tara had never gotten the chance to say goodbye or seek closure. As she stood before the grave, Tara finally allowed herself to grieve not just for Sarah, but for everything she had lost: the trust in her family, the sense of community, and the innocence of youth. The betrayal by Amy had forced her to confront the painful truths of the past. "I forgive you, Sarah," Tara whispered, her voice breaking. "I understand now. And I'm sorry we couldn't be there for each other." For the first time in years, Tara felt a sense of peace settle in her heart. Tara's childhood friend, Jason, returned to town after years of absence. He had heard about her ordeal and came back to offer his support. Jason had always been there for her during the good times, but this time, his return felt like a true sign of healing. Over coffee, Jason listened intently as Tara recounted the trials she had faced. He was shocked by how much she had endured. "You've really been through hell," Jason said. "But look at you now. You're stronger than ever." Tara smiled faintly. "I couldn't have done it without the support of those who cared about me." As they talked, It became clear that their friendship had not just endured, it had evolved. Both had changed, but they were now ready to rebuild their connection, this time with deeper understanding and mutual respect. Just as Tara began to settle into her new life, she learned of a new threat. Someone in the town had started spreading rumors about her again. This time it wasn't about the affair, but about the success of her bakery. People were jealous, and someone was trying to tear her down once more. Tara knew she had to act quickly to protect her hard-earned reputation. She wouldn't let anyone take this from her. Tara was preparing for another busy day at the bakery when she noticed a familiar figure waiting outside. Julia. The lawyer had come to offer her a comforting presence, despite the ongoing rumors threatening her livelihood. Julia walked in and sat beside Tara. Her usual professional demeanor softened with genuine concern. "I heard about the rumors," she said quietly. "I'm not letting them take you down again, Tara." Tara looked up from the counter, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I don't know if I can keep fighting, Julia. It feels like no matter what I do, something keeps trying to pull me back down." Julia leaned forward, her eyes locking with Tara's. "That's exactly why you need to keep going. You've already shown everyone your strength. This is just another test. You can rise above it." Tara nodded, feeling the weight of her past lifting just a little more. With Julia by her side, she knew she wasn't alone in this fight. Tara decided to meet with the person behind the latest rumors. She had a hunch that this attack wasn't random. It had to be someone with a vested interest in seeing her fail. Armed with the knowledge of her strength, Tara met the shadowy figure in the back alley behind the bakery. None other than Tom, an old business rival. "Thought you could hide behind your bakery while I struggle. Spat. You don't deserve this success. It's my turn now." Tara stepped forward, unwavering. "I earned every piece of it. If you want to tear me down, you'll need more than lies." Tom scoffed, but Tara's gaze was unyielding. She wasn't afraid anymore. She had fought back before and had always emerged stronger. This time she would stand firm again. The next morning the town seemed divided. Tara noticed a subtle shift in the behavior of the townspeople. Some had stopped coming to her bakery, while others offered her knowing nods of support. There were whispers in the air, but Tara wasn't backing down. She was ready to face whatever was coming. As she prepared dough behind the counter, her thoughts were interrupted by an unexpected visitor. Mayor Henderson, who had always been a supporter of the town's small businesses. "Tara, I need to speak with you," the mayor said, stepping inside with a serious expression. "I'm sorry for the way things have unfolded. It's clear that there's more going on than just rumors." Tara wiped her hands on her apron and met his gaze. "I've had enough of this. The truth will come out, no matter who tries to stop me." The mayor nodded, a look of understanding in his eyes. "I'm here to help you, Tara. We'll set things right." Tara was standing outside her bakery late one afternoon when she saw a familiar face walking toward her. Evan, the man who had once been at the center of her scandal. He approached hesitantly, almost apologetically. "I know I was part of the mess you've been through, and I never should have let things spiral out of control," Evan said. "I just wanted to tell you that I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I've seen the way you've handled everything. You're stronger than I gave you credit for." Tara was taken aback. She had not expected an apology from him, especially not one that came so sincerely. "Thank you, Evan. It means more than you know." Evan nodded and turned to leave, but Tara called out to him before he could go. "Why now? After all this time, Evan paused and looked back, a soft look in his eyes. I think I needed to see you fight. It made me realize the kind of person you really are. Months passed, and life in the town gradually returned to a new kind of normal. The gossip faded, and the town began to rebuild itself around the truth, just as Tara had rebuilt her life. The bakery thrived, and Tara had found peace in the simplicity of her daily routine. One afternoon, as Tara was kneading dough, she realized that her past struggles had only shaped her into the woman she was now, a woman who would never let the lies of others define her. Her phone buzzed with a message from Julia. The court ruling came through. You're free from the slander. The town knows the truth now. A deep sense of relief washed over her. The battle was over. But more importantly, Tara had learned the greatest lesson of all. The truth may be delayed, but it always prevails. Tara smiled as she finished preparing the bread, the warmth of the oven reflecting the warmth in her heart. She had come through it all, and now she could have finally breathed easy. The moral lesson is that in life the truth may be delayed, but it always prevails.